This is the business development session. We are here in this first edition of the PharmaSynergy-Digital. We already have here some of the participants along with us. And the panelists of today's session, I have the pleasure to have with us Theo Bauer, Head of Strategic Projects and Business Development from Merck Sharp & Dohme in Europe. Ana Sofia Geronimo, Head of Business Development from Blue Pharma, responsible for Europe and some other regions. Kamal Kandadai, Head of Business Development, Senior Director from CIPLA, South Africa and Africa region. Frank Wankel, Director of New Business from Laboratórios Saval, Chile and Latam, as well as Naveen Tadani, Vice President of Business Development from Aurobindo in Europe. For the ones who don't know me, my name is Saverio. I'm Head of Innovation at Axé Laboratórios. It's my pleasure to be the moderator of this session. We are going to start with a round of introductions from each of the panelists, where they will present to us what they have been experiencing in their regions, the specificities of their region and companies, how all this outbreak of COVID-19 has been impacting those companies. And in the next sessions of this interaction, we will look at the future and the possibilities that we can obtain from all this situation. So initially, to enable us to move forward with this, I will pass the word to Theo Bauer that will start in this session. As I mentioned, Theo, it's a pleasure to have you here. It's with you.
Excellent. Good afternoon. My name is Theo Bauer from MSD. Very delighted to be in that conference. I'm heading Strategic Project Business Development in Germany. And I'm married. I'm a father of a little daughter based in Munich. And I have a strong passion for people, collaboration, and continuous learning. So it's not bad then to be in the space of business development aligned to strategy. Let me give you a brief overview or introduction to our organization, the challenges we're facing, as well as the changes in some of the transformation steps we basically have been taking, not only the last months, but maybe the last years as well, and a little bit an outlook what we're going to do next, and how this impacts business development as well. This is more a teaser, which we will have more time later for the questions. Just a refresher, our company is known as Merck in US and Canada, elsewhere known as MSD. Merck & Co. is a legal name and listed on the stock exchange. In the US, we're embracing pharmaceuticals, we're embracing vaccines, we're embracing animal health products. And from a human health perspective, we have a strong footprint in diabetes, cancer, vaccines, and hospital acute care. And obviously, are very active in research in the cancer area, HIV, hepatitis C. And maybe some of you, or I bet some of you are aware of products like Keytruda, pembrolizumab, Gardasil, or other products like Januva, Janumet, the sitagliptin ones. So there are some significant products in the portfolio addressing various needs. And last but not least, we are on the front line of fighting the pandemics, not only with Ebola vaccination, but more recently on the COVID-19, where we basically joined the efforts on arriving at the respective vaccines. Around 71,000 employees, about 47 billion in revenues, about 10 billion in R&D. Why I'm telling this, not that we are a huge company, it's more like that we have a lot of strategic options to basically direct our mission and to direct respective investments, and there needs to be a thorough strategy and decisions to be made. We have business development and licensing teams across the globe with certain hubs in the US like Boston, San Francisco, Europe, London, and Asia Pacific, colleagues in Shanghai, parts in Australia, Sydney, and Japan. And we have a corporate venture capital fund as well. Basically two ones. The one is the Global Health Innovation Fund, which addresses more health solutions, digital solutions around the patient pathway. And the other one is a MRL venture fund, which addresses early therapies in an early stage and basically accompanying companies to learn together in very early phases of therapy areas and technologies. And the question we always have was, so what's new? I would not refer so much on COVID-19 at that stage. We heard a lot in the other session. For us, new is certainly not only today, but the last 5, 6, 7 years, that the changing customer portfolio as well as the different needs from the customer. So health resources require different outcomes, access, affordability, and require certain different customer interactions as well. We have a shifting portfolio in our company. We see it from a strong primary care legacy towards a specialty area with Keytruda. Keytruda is going to be one of the largest products ever sold in the next years. So this is a clear shift in the portfolio and the customer space towards specialization. We have an involvement workforce, which requires different way of working. The younger generation might want to work differently than we might used to be. And I say we might, I'm 47, so I'm something in between the generations. We require different skills, and the learning organization requires different environments to fully develop. We have rapid technology changes, digitalization, data-driven organizations. In a nutshell, it becomes a fully connected ecosystem, and this has a major impact on our business development activities as well. We as a company reacted probably as a lot of other companies reacted. The first impulse is we need to be more efficient, so let's prioritize on markets like China. This was more like 5 years ago. So it's a question of resources and investment. Where do you put resources and investment? Then the company figured, well, maybe we need other capabilities like digitalization. So this was stimulated, I think, 3-4 years ago in a more condensed way, but it was a little bit more isolated and focused on digitalization and technology itself. And I think what every company started in the last 1 or 2 years is more like a validation and reshaping of the holistic operating model they are in. Meaning looking at the portfolio, looking at the customer interactions, looking at the way of working, the capabilities needed, nothing else but the organization of the future, nothing else. And this is a daily continuous journey we are in, and this keeps us busy every day, not only in the organization, but on the business development side as well. The question is now for all of us, probably, especially in our company, how to change some kind of hierarchical, bureaucratic, maybe slow and risk-averse company into more an agile, bold, and quicker company. And the answer is, among other things, mindset, culture, and alignment in the first place, and the rest should follow somehow. And leadership plays a key role, I think. Saveri, you mentioned it before, like leadership, there are different leadership challenges coming along with that one. And in that transformation, the business development function and strategic partnering has always played a significant role. We have year by year a high double-digit number of transactions globally, embracing acquisitions, licensing, technology deals, as well as clinical corporations. So in a nutshell, to stimulate the discussion, I have basically 3 assumptions. The one is, in the 2020s, we will have a challenging period for pharmaceutical industry. When we see the growth rates, we're still growing, but you will see new winners and new losers depending how they adapt to the new environment and how they're finding their niches to play in this environment. The second one is COVID-19 related. which the crisis serves as a catalyzer for change with a long-lasting effect on healthcare. We see it in Germany, the way the patient flow in hospitals is changing. We see the communication with the physicians changing. They're demanding different kinds of activities. And last but not least, this environment has a different impact on the way of working for business development. What I said applied to the organization obviously applies to business development as well. We will see more partnerships, we will see different partnerships, and we will see other players with a wider ecosystem as well. And I think this is the teaser from my side. Delighted to see the discussion later on.
Great, too. Thank you. It's really a shuffle of cards that enables some other companies to change position in terms of competitive dynamics. And I agree with you, collaborations will be crucial. Decision-making process, as you said, and leadership in all the situation will play a significant role in the years ahead. So for the same process, Ana Sofia Geronimo, please enlighten us with your thoughts. I think that you are.
Yes, I'm okay. Thank you very much, Saverio. Thank you very much for the invitation, and thank you, Till, for your thoughts as well. I'm giving a perspective, so I'm from a completely different company. I think the panel here is very interesting because we came from the very different contexts, and just to make a brief presentation. So my name is Ana Geronimo. I'm responsible. I'm a pharmacist. I started my career 13 years ago in the market access, pricing and reimbursement. And then 9 years ago, I joined the BD at Blue Pharma. And for the last 4 years, I've been the director of the department. I'm currently leading a team of 7 people. We are responsible mainly for the out-licensing activities of the product that we develop internally. And we look for different types of corporations, out-licensing, CODEVs, CDMOs opportunities. And we are also responsible for API procurement and portfolio management. So this is a very big range of activities. The company is a very new company. We are only 19 years old. We started in 2001 from the acquisition of a Bayer facility, in Portugal, and we are still 100% privately owned and a Portuguese company. During these last years, we enjoyed a very fast growth. We are now a group of 19 companies. And we came from a 58 people company, and we are now 600 people. Okay, we offer an integrated approach since the development to the commercialization of products. We have also a CRO company called Blue Clinical in the group. Okay, that is of course an independent company, but is where we do our own bioequivalent studies. And we focus not only on the development of generic products, but also VAMs, and we are very keen in developing difficult products, high-potency products, complex products like liposomal injectables. And this is the kind of technologies that we are investing in so we can differentiate from our competitors. Our fast growth comes from strategic alliances, partnerships, co-developments that we believe that are the secret of our fast development. And we also have, apart from the development capabilities, we also have manufacturing capabilities that are actually growing. We are building up a new manufacturing site in the same area here in Portugal. And our manufacturing site is already certified by the most demanding authorities worldwide, like, of course, GMP, US FDA, Anvisa, Saudi FDA, and many others. Our main markets, so my team and myself, we are covering out-licensing deals worldwide, okay? So we are dealing with different territories and continents at the same time. But our main markets are Europe and US. In the last months during this COVID-19 pandemic, these were really challenging. mainly for a company like us that are, so the entire company from R&D to the packaging, manufacturing lines and so on, we are all under the same roof. So we have all of us are located in the same headquarters. So of course, there is still uncertainty and we don't know what is going to happen, but I can tell you that so far we were able to deal with this situation and to manage this situation quite well. Of course, we have a dedicated team, quality team, looking for the safety and managing the safety of our workers on the daily end. I think hour by hour basis, they were really tireless. And I think that Blue Pharma enjoyed some particular features that helped us in this process. And I do think that there were two main aspects. One was the very tight connection that exists between the board and the workers and the managers. And we were able to listen to people and to listen their needs. All of us were called almost every day just to report what is going on with the teams, what was going on with each people, and to adapt to the needs of each one. And then we also focused a lot on the priorities. Of course, there was a lot of things going on. There are still, I do believe, I agree with Daniel and also other colleagues that told us that in fact, the world didn't stop for us. We enjoyed even more time. Of course, we stopped travel, but we enjoyed more time at home to manage the deals, to contact with clients, to keep the work going on, and signing contracts and so on. So nothing stopped. Of course, there was a lot of focus on the priorities, a lot of focus on supplying the products to our customers, and also a lot of work with our own suppliers from our APIs and excipients in this period. But I think generally Blue Pharma is a company, although we are young, we are already worried for some time ago about implementing technologies, IT technologies internally. So we were already using, for example, Teams, SAP, Salesforce. This is kind of technologies that we were already using internally. So it was easy for us to come home. And to start working from home as we were in the office hours ago, and we also. But I think these times were also good to simplify processes, to improve the communication within the company, within the departments. And also to improve and to focus on the communication, keep the communication with our clients. I think, of course, there were a lot of challenges, and there will be a lot of challenges. And for example, recruiting in this 100% online environment, it's difficult. It's not so easy, but I think there is. So a lot of opportunities that came from this COVID-19 situation that will stay for sure, but for sure there will be other things that we will have to come back again to face-to-face meetings. This is really important for the business as well. And I think.
Great, Anna. Thank you very much. I think that you touched a very important point, which is communication. I think all of us, we are learning how to communicate through these new tools. The face-to-face interactions were something that we were accustomed to. We were accustomed to feel all the messages that you have in a face-to-face interaction, but through all those digital tools is different, and it's something that we will have to learn for sure. Thank you very much for your insights. And now I will pass the ball to Kamal Kandadai. Sorry if I mispronounced your name, Kamal. Kamal is the head of business development from CIPLA, so Kamal is with you.
Thank you, Severio. Good afternoon. I hope, firstly, thank you very much for having me in this panel. It's a very rich panel. So thank you for that again, Severio and Christina. And very good afternoon to all of you. I hope you can hear me clear. Well, let me maybe spend a couple of minutes introducing myself again. My name is Kamal Kandare, and I head business development and strategic partnerships for a company called Cipla. Cipla, as you would know, is a global pharmaceutically vertically integrated organization. We are headquartered in Mumbai. We have a global workforce of about 26,000 people with over 40 manufacturing plants in India. We are quite well organized across the world. We operate in over about 100 plus countries. I represent a very strategic business unit for Cipla based out of Africa. Cipla's Africa business roughly contributes to about 20% of Cipla's global turnover. So that's in the range of about $400 to $500 million, depending on which part of the day that you see the dollars. But that's a perspective. I am responsible for Cipla's Africa's business development, which is a very unique position to be in because Africa is not very often in the map when it comes to pharmaceuticals. From a perspective of people think that there is a vision that Africa is not a key market or it's not a growth market rather, but that's not the case. When I've taken this position since the last 3 years, it's a very interesting dynamics within Africa, including South Africa. So I'll talk to you a little bit more about it in the following lines. In terms of the COVID situation in Africa, briefly, it's not unique to us. It's been a global pandemic for all of us, and we have been adjusting to these changes as everybody else here worldwide. It has been very interesting two-dimensional approach. We've had some challenges at the same time. We had some very interesting opportunities as well. In terms of the COVID numbers itself, we are looking at about 300,000 within the African continent, of which South Africa, where I'm based, is roughly about 50% of that. So that's something which is alarming. And the good news, however, is that the ratio of deaths to recoveries is quite tilted, which is a positive news. A lot more on the recovery side, clearly, very less on the death side. So that is something to be feel good about. In terms of our government initiatives from a COVID situation, I think it's been a very, very positive traction with the amount of testing that the government has employed here in the markets have been very, very healthy. So we're looking at about 35 to 40,000 tests per day, which is a very good, healthy sign. So that is also keeping the curve, as they say, almost flat, if not entirely flat. In terms of Cipla's performance in Africa, our business as a performance in the last 6 months, like I said, it's been a two-dimensional thing. So the three initiatives that we've taken in light of the entire pandemic situation is one, clearly is on the securing the organic growth, which means we have been able to do a good job at securing a manufacturing and cut down on dependencies from an import perspective. So that was a very key requirement, and I think we did a good job at that. In terms of the demand equation itself in the markets that we play, South Africa and Africa at large, I think we've not seen the demand equation fundamentally changed. The demand is very robust, especially both on the chronic and the acute side. We did see some panic buying, panic purchases on the acute side. I'll talk to you about it a little bit in detail again. But on the chronic side, the demand equation has been very strong. So that's good news. And the third thing that we think is happening within the markets is, I think an established companies like Cipla, which hold a very strong position in Africa, we've been able to absorb some immediate short-term shocks. I think that's good news about some mature organization. I'm sure that's true for many large and medium-sized organizations. The immediate shock in terms of our profitabilities or cash components have been well secured. So we don't, that's again, we see that as a positive. It gives us opportunity on leverage position to continue to explore many business development activities. In terms of the business development itself, like many of my colleagues mentioned, Till and Anna, I think the environment for us from a business development standpoint has not stopped clearly. In fact, the more I see into this, my reflection is that it's only strengthened our position from a business development standpoint. I see a lot more partnerships happening, a lot more willingness to look at assets differently, look at targets differently. I think that's definitely a good news. In terms of the pure signing of deals, whether it's in licensing or acquisitions, I have not seen, my thesis is that the deal pipeline has not necessarily shrunk. There has been a little bit of a sluggish from a time perspective, but I don't see that the deal pipeline in entirety has slowed down. As a matter of fact, we have been signing over about 10 to 12 deals in the last 2 quarters since January. So that I see as a positive takeaway from this, and I'm looking forward to elaborate on that as we go forward. But overall, from where I sit in Africa, I think it's been an optimistic view, although with a little bit of a slowdown or a pause at the moment. But I think it's an overall very positive outlook for the future. Over to you, Saverio. I'm looking forward to the panel and provide more insights as we speak through. Thank you again.
Thank you, Kamal. Thank you. You provided good insights, but it's important to emphasize how, let's say, positive you are with the future. You mentioned that demand is maintained and business activity is not stopped in general, which is great, and we can talk more in the next stage of our session. Thank you. So now I will turn to Frank Wankel, as I mentioned, Director of Business Development from Saval. Frank, please, is with you. You are muted, still muted, Frank. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much for the invitation and for the information of the previous speaker. I think this is a very interesting panel because it's covering a couple of regions. Different regions. My region is South America and Central America. My name is Frank Wankel, working currently in Saval for business development. I'm native German, as you might hear, and but located in South America. And I had previous experience in marketing and also country management. Regarding Saval, Saval is a family-owned business company. It's now in the 3rd generation, so it's a little bit different from the structures of the previous companies. It's a medium-sized companies. We are located in Santiago de Chile, but also with subsidiaries throughout the Andean region, which is South America and Central America. As part of a family-owned business, changes are happening, especially with the 3rd generation that had coming in only last year, and so there will be some changes. In regards to the markets, what we see is, as you might know, South America and Central America is out-of-the-pocket market. Only recently, let's say, I'm speaking about Chile, let's say the last 10 to 20 years, due to the pressure of the public opinion, some reimbursement measures have been implemented, especially for catastrophic diseases. And so now we see that strong market is growing in the hospital range area, which currently is more or less 30% of the retail area, but it's growing very strong. And we expect, if the growth will continue at the same rate, that probably in 4 years, both markets, retail market and the hospital range market would be, they have the same size. So Saval, as a traditional branded generics operator, is very strong in retail, but as you might see, we have now to adapt and have to go into also hospital range, because there where the growth is coming from. And on the other hand, we see a lot of pressure in terms of retail, in terms of pricing. So I think, and a strong pressure to use non-branded generics. So probably it's a evolution that you might see that for example might be similar to Spain, let's say 20 or 25 years ago, or even further. So really the markets are in a change, and Saval, the company, also is in change, because now we have a third generation on board with new ideas. In these terms, business development is getting very important, because we have a facility, but only for solid formulations. And if you look into the hospital range markets, a lot of injectables and other pharmaceutical forms are important. So really business development is getting very important. My task is licensing. If you're looking into the COVID-19, I think COVID-19 is, for me, it's like a catalyst of these previous evolutions that you see, so change to hospital range market, to a specialized market, and a more non-branded generics. We experienced it, for example, in the portfolio. What we are seeing, and what also my previous colleague are reporting, is that the acute product portfolio has decreased dramatically due to the lockdown of pharmacies and the absence of physicians or patients. But on the other hand, you see that the chronic diseases and hospital range is growing, is steady growing. So really, we see this once again as a catalyst. That means we have to strengthen our portfolio and have to shift to hospital range areas. And the other area that is also important in terms of strategic positioning, we have to be more international. We have to re-strengthen our international footprints. It's not good to depend only from one country, and it's pretty difficult to get innovation into smaller countries if you're not have a broader geographic footprint. What we also did is, maybe this is appropriate for smaller countries and for smaller companies. In order to get access to innovation, we were invited to a business development platform, a regional platform, so which is conformed by a total of 3 companies, one Brazilian and one Mexican and one Chilean, which is us, in order to build really a regional coverage for business development for Latin America. And I think this helped very much to bring innovation and have access to providers that were not interested in small countries. But by building a huge geographic region, I think this is very interesting. In terms of business development, I think I agree with you. You will require new leadership. There has to be much more collaboration with the other departments in terms to really check what are the opportunities. This is especially valid for us. We have a very broad portfolio. We worked in branded generics, so we really have to make sure that we don't miss any chances. And since there's a very strong pressure into non-generic of the non-generics, we're looking into niche indications. We're looking into added value generics. We're looking into small molecules, so where there's not so much competition. And also, maybe, and with this I would like to finish, the collaboration and strategic alliance with providers are getting more and more important in order to get access to products that are in the portfolio, let's say 3 or 4 years ahead. This way you can have access and really make sure your portfolio for the coming years. I think innovation is getting more and more important. If not, you will be eaten up from the non-generic or from the non-branded generics. And I think innovation is very important. And as you said, also I think we have to have an alignment within the cooperation with the other departments within the company, alignment, and also, as Anna said, we have to get the priorities clear. I think, and this to do this, we have to involve all the business. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you very much for your inputs. It's clear from your speech the importance of business development activities. It's clear, and I think that business development will play a relevant role to make the things better and to enable the company to take advantage of the opportunities that will arise. Definitely. Thank you very much. We'll continue on that in the next stage of our session. We are pretty much looking into the future in terms of capabilities that the business development executives, the business development teams needs to develop, needs to gather to face the challenge and opportunities in the future. So in the sense, we need to understand or discuss a little bit how are the capabilities, the skills that the companies and the teams, especially in the BD, will have to acquire to face the future. Maybe we can start with two. Then we can have inputs from Anna that mentioned about that, Frank, and any other panelists that would like to give us some specific point on this topic. So, Tew, starting with you, what are your thoughts in regards to this perspective, looking at the future and the capabilities that companies and BD teams need to obtain?
Yes, I follow what you just said, Naveen, reduce the complexity. And basically, it's really a strong prioritization. And I did a training certification on agile coaching, Scrum as a product owner, just to get familiar with some of the principles we're trying to embed in a more holistic way in the organization. And then I figured out, wow, this refers 100% to business development as well. Making larger decisions, smaller ones, arriving to a more final ones. And what you will see is that especially in the large companies, the specialization continues to go on, meaning you have teams just looking for search and evaluation, you have teams just doing transactions, you're having teams just doing alliance management. And I think the winning piece is just to bring them together in an HR setting, meaning at an early stage, that everybody's on the same page, enabling everybody contribute with their valuable contribution. The second piece, what I see is in analytics. It's more, I would call it automated analytics. We tend to ask ourselves questions, oh, is this worthwhile going for that deal or that deal? Then we start some manual search and so on. But we do not spend some time in standardizing very thoroughly our analytics on whatever question we have, to do it in a standardized way, not only for us, but together with our strategic partner and together with the customers. So I'm referring to as a continuous input process, which starts earlier. And there's a tendency now, what we see is that business development happens at an earlier stage in terms of clinical phases. So this requires different evaluation skills, obviously, as the risk and chance profile is wider, but it needs to have a continuous assessment already in the early phases to be shared with the commercial teams and the access teams, so strong alignment. And I see a mismatch, let's say, in terms of we need to execute faster, but the environment gets complexer. So what you need to do, take the complex work a little bit and in advance at an early stage and do more like an ongoing analysis on the things, not like, oh, now this is the case, now we have to analyze and suddenly the work explodes. So I think it's really thorough preparation, much, much earlier than we did it sometimes recently or the years before.
Great, Tew. Great. Digital analytics, good points that you brought to this topic. Thank you, Anna. You mentioned about communication and skills. Maybe you can add something to this point.
Yes, well, I do agree with Till. Okay, when it comes to evaluate opportunities in the beginning, so in different stages, in early stages, involve different teams. Here on the communication wise, I think on a BD level and on my side that we are mainly doing out licensing deals and bringing also ideas on the portfolio management. It's very important for a BD to be to listen to the client's needs, okay, to be aware of, to have the capabilities not only to go to a meeting to sell, but also to go to a meeting to listen to what our clients needs, what the market, what are the market trends, bring this information internally, have the ability to talk internally to the pipeline management, project managers, development people, that is and discuss these opportunities internally in order to be fast and in order to adapt and respond fast to the market needs. I think this is one of the main, the major attributes that I would like to see in a BD, and that I think makes the difference in the competitiveness in the future.
Great, thank you. Someone else would like to add some point on this topic? Maybe Frank?
Yeah, I think many points have been addressed by Till and by Anna. And I think what used to be a more technical and analytical job in the past, I think is getting complexer. And as I said, we probably will need soft skills, important soft skills in terms of communication and also cooperation. And I think we have to have persons, people in place that are able to listen. Really listen to the customers, listen to the other departments, be able to build up networks with provider to establish relationships. So I think it's getting complexer. So you have to bring together good analytic skills with soft skills in terms of communication and also sales. And I think so. This is the challenge we have. It's not easy to find them, or maybe you have to have different skills, different persons with different skills. But I think definitely the soft skill factor is getting more important.
Great. Any other points on that? No, if not, I will move to operations related issues and opportunities. We have been seeing that a lot of things is being affected. I mean, we have been facing impacts on supply chain, on clinical trials development. I think that most of you faced something related to that. And also the lack of engage between reps and the physicians. So a lot of dynamics, a lot of activities were affected by this new dynamic we are all facing. And when we look at the, let's say, the current behaviors or attitudes or adaptations that we are living, what those you see that will be kept, we will maintain, and what those we will drop and it will return to regular situation prior to the pandemic. I would like to hear from you your thoughts on this dynamic. What are the changes that will survive and the other ones that will return to the base? Maybe we can start with Kamal.
Sure, thank you. So it's a very pertinent question, perhaps. I'm happy to reflect on my thoughts. I think on the three fronts that you mentioned, maybe I can start off with what's happening at the market level in terms of interfacing with the customers. In our case, it's the doctors. I think it's a very important question. So my 3-point thesis to that is, This is a question that the pharmaceutical industry or biopharmaceutical industry have been sort of thinking about it for a very long time. We all traditionally and conventionally believe that the medical representative going up to the doctor, having their engagement and conversation was always never to be seen any differently. But I think there have always been in parallel, there have always been interventions at from a technology standpoint to how do we enhance that engagement, how do we speed up the conversation and become more efficient. And what this current pandemic has done is perhaps it's only accelerated that thinking further. So from a Cipla standpoint, for example, I think we've been working on this interface with the customers, not just with doctors, in fact, even with pharmacies and retail environment for a very long period of time. We have had some very key technology interventions to engage with these customers on an ongoing basis and reduce dependencies to a certain degree on a one-on-one meeting, travels, etc. I think that long road for us has paved very well so far. And today, the options from a technology standpoint are immense. I mean, the amount of SFE intervention through technology, looking at either from Till mentioned about analytics. I think you don't need to have conversations on a one-on-one basis to have those analytics. I think it's technology is driving those analytics very robustly, right from the time that the doctor writes a prescription today. That's number one. And number two is in terms of, again, the pandemic has also helped in terms of customers understanding this even better than us today. I think so far we've had some challenges, obviously, while pharmaceutical companies have always tried to push the agenda of having web interfaces, webinars, e-conferences, etc. But we had some challenges when the doctors and the customers didn't play up to that party quite well. But I think the pandemic has pushed that envelope further. And today we've had, we currently, as we speak, for the last 4 months, from a Cipla standpoint, our reps have not been on the ground 100%. But at the same time, like I said in the previous thing, that the script of the demand side of the equation has not changed because the doctors have started to deploy those tools of how to write an e-prescription, even if it is a repeat prescription or a first-time patient. I think there are a lot of technology interventions that's taken place, and the doctors are now starting to feel very good outcomes from that. So that's the second thing. In terms of supply chain, I think that's another very, very key operational element where technology again plays a very critical role. Again, from a Cipla standpoint, with ERP solutions being in the market for over a decade or more, I think the ERP solution, whether it's SAP or any other tools that we have, has played a very, very key role. Our supply chain network was going to be very, very critical in this pandemic situation. Like I said, cutting down dependencies from import standpoint and have it more localized, and also ensuring that the inventory management or working capital management at large is well balanced with these kind of technology interventions. So that's something that is very, very important again from a manufacturing and operations standpoint, and having a very well holistic, connected supply chain manufacturing network is very, very key. And the last thing is, well, Cipla, I mean, on the clinical trials that you mentioned, I think one data point I want to bring in is one of the, maybe it's more for organizations like MSD who are very actively involved in development of new medicines. I think one thing that's happened because of the pandemic, maybe momentarily, is that the clinical trials many of the clinical trial readouts have dropped. The readouts that we would have seen in a usual sense during this period, especially in big conferences, I think that has taken a little bit of a backseat. And also I hear that many of the clinical trials in terms of the patient enrollment have been either suspended or delayed, So I think that would have sort of a baseline effect in terms of how the new molecules are going to come in the future. And for generic companies like Cipla, I think we are slightly sort of ring-fenced from that perspective. And I will let Till perhaps expand on that. But for us, I think it is not affected, but I think from a new chemical standpoint, that has taken a little bit of a backseat. So those are my reflections on operations, to your point.
Great, Kamal. Good point. I think that we are all seeing the effects of all of this and trying to adapt ourselves in the best way as possible. You mentioned that API or the supply chain impacts, and I was just considering the fact that many countries are now evaluating if to have a local industry in terms of API would be a solution. Brazil is an example with the government and some stakeholders are now discussing if they should implement efforts to have a local industry of API. And it's complicated because it's quite late to start something like that. And in Brazil, there is no API manufacturing in a relevant manner. And what I think is maybe it's a good opportunity also to embrace new technological waves. For example, flow chemistry for the manufacturing of API. There are some companies that are starting to work on this direction, and maybe some companies, industries, or countries could evaluate if embrace the flow chemistry manufacturing for the API would be a solution. So it's just to bring us a thought that we can use the current scenario to take advantage of some opportunities and bring new technologies on the table. So just to have that in mind, and considering the topics that were mentioned from Kamal, but also operations related topics too. Would you like to add something in this topic too?
Yes, I was thinking on reflecting what was said. I think I would not separate now between organization and business development. I think what we should keep as an organization, the flexibility, the preparation and the alignment, that we put a lot effort now in a solid preparation and a strong alignment. That makes us very strong as an organization. I saw the organization getting, not the organization, but the people getting more confident in articulating their contribution and adding to it, and translating this to the customer side as well. It was interesting when we basically changed the picture, saying, okay, dear customers, how do you want to interact in these times? Do you want us to be silent? Do you want to get bothered by anything? Do you need additional information? Just tell us what your preference is. And you see certain strong preference saying, no, nothing changed for me, just give me a call, send me an email, do a WebEx for me, include me in that, but I do not want to have this interaction with you impaired in a certain way. And the awareness for digital channels in terms of consent to digital communication and so on rises. So you see on both sides the more willingness to shape together what's value is for the customer, and not necessarily what a company thinks, well, you should be for a customer. And I think we're making great progress on that. I hope we will gonna be more down to earth. So I think COVID-19 learned us a little bit humbleness in that one. I hope we, not only probably everybody, but I hope we keep that down to earth and HR spirit working around these areas. What I would continue as well is a very robust partner selection process based on ethical values, culture, and way of working in the first place. Obviously, if the asset attractiveness is given. So it's not per se, but this is a strong one. As we saw now in all the existing strategic partnerships, just positive impacts. As we had a solid foundation how to deal with maybe challenging items and found a solution. And what we learned is it's always good to have flexible contracts dealing with changing environments, and not like setting contracts in stone and locking two partners in different barriers where they have a hard time to maneuver. So I think that's important. What we will drop is the remote only interaction with our partners, as we want to see the smile directly face to face once we have to celebrate some successes. But obviously, if things go wrong, that we basically reconcile on some solution if things go not the way we intend. So this would be my perspective on this.
Thank you too. Naveen, please give us your contribution on the way of working and operations connected to all we are talking now.
Yeah, I think I agree with the points. Some of these points, we've all tried to interface with our customers in different ways, because business starts from the customer. So we need to find a way to get across to them, and we've all adapted. Customers have adapted, we have adapted, supply chains have tried to adapt, and clinical trials, which Kamal spoke about, we're trying to adapt, but sometimes it's a lot slower. You're right, Saverio. The importance of local production is being felt more and more. We've seen it before because of the price challenges, and now we're seeing it more because of COVID. And the issues with getting essential medicines in. And I think that, apart from these, I think there's one additional point I want to add to this, and that is, it's become even more important in these days to have a really nimble reaction, a very high speed of response to opportunities that are coming up. And speed of response is not how quickly you respond to an email. Speed of response is how quickly you respond to an opportunity or you respond to an issue. It's driven by how bureaucratic your organization is or how not bureaucratic it is. And this is not something that we can, tell our people, okay, now from today onwards, we are going to respond to all opportunities within X number of hours. It never works that way, because this is really a cultural thing. And if we've all established the culture, if we've established a culture within an organization of a particular level of nimbleness, that is, fortunately or unfortunately, the speed at which organizations will respond. So if you want to change your speed of your response of your organization to an epidemic, you need to also look into how quickly you can change your culture. And I think I've seen this happen. A few of us have responded very quickly. A few of us have responded slower. And I think it's all about finding the right balance between what your customers need and what your organization can do. Yeah, I think that's what I wanted to add, Saverio. I'm happy to hear the views of also the other panelists.
Great. I think that we had a good coverage in terms of, let's say, BD activities, the way of working, operations. If someone would like to add any other point in regards to business development in general, I would like now to open to, let's say, a more broader view in terms of what can be done. Some of the opportunities that Naveen just mentioned in terms of reaction, how we can see the opportunities ahead and how we can use the environment in a positive way. Someone would like to add something on that? Maybe Anna?
Well, I in general, I agree with everything that my colleagues just said. Just highlighting two things here on the partnerships. I think partnerships are really, and from our experience here at Apple Farm, it's really something that can faster the reaction towards the market. So it's a risk-sharing approach with someone that is with us. Of course, we need to select, as still said, a partner that shares with us the culture, the quality of doing things, and is there to help us when we have some troubles and to solve problems. but it's also a way to be fast and to reply to the market, and to also to reach more customers as well. And also this performance of supply. It's becoming really important in this last months due to this COVID-19 situation. We really have some nightmares. I believe every company that is supplying products were just well, on this uncertainty situation. We didn't know what is going to happen in India, in China, that are the main manufacturers of APIs. If something changes there, this will have an impact worldwide. And I think what you said, Saveri, is completely right. Maybe the world needs to change where we or diverse where we locate the resources that then feed all the industry worldwide on these APIs, excipients, and so on. So having on the supply, I think performance will be a great factor for our customers to choose to the right partner in order to address.
Savario.
Okay, go ahead, Kamal.
Sorry, I just want to make one more point here. I think it was, I was reflecting on what Till mentioned in terms of has this environment put us in a little bit more humble position? Just was reflecting on that. I think one of my experiences has been that I think overall there's been a level of acceleration in trust, in terms of the overall, why I'm saying that is because I think one is it's a level playing field. It's not unique to one country. It's not unique to one specific industry. It's not unique to one specific set of organizations or people. I think one thing this pandemic has done to all of us is I think it's a level playing field. So therefore I think the trust quotient has definitely accelerated and gone beyond. Attaching this to how, from a BD standpoint, one of the things that I see this on a regular basis now is we had to go back to many of those earlier contracts and relook at some of the terms and conditions. And when we looked at that, whether it's from a supply chain perspective or from a credit perspective, payment perspective, or milestones perspective, across all sort of elements, I think when I speak to partners more from a licensing or a M&A perspective, and also from a supply chain organization perspective, I think people have been very considerate. I mean, they all understand the picture. They all understand the nuances in terms of what's coming in and going out. I mean, if we had a supply challenge, for example, in a particular product segment, I think our customers are willing to adjust to that, to what Naveen mentioned. I think there's been a lot of adoption to that environment to say, okay, we understand there's going to be some delays. Either you plan your inventories better or you extend credit terms where possible. So you manage the environment really well. And this has happened, not credits to everybody who's involved in the entire value chain. I think, so one positive, like I said, in summary of takeaway is the trust quotient has definitely accelerated, and that I suppose is a good news for all of us.
Great, thank you, Kamal. And the questions that we got from the audience is pretty much in this direction, and I will open to someone to add any point in regards to the balance between the activities that are more financial, tactical, some activities that were impacted, and what are the main reasons that justifies any potential changes that you are performing now. The questions are in regards to comparison between local activities, global activities. Are you modifying the way that you are approaching the activities in this moment, focusing on regional activities, or you are maintaining the balance that you had in terms of the opportunities? So the question is how does a company handle in the balance of this local, global, regional activities in terms of financials, tactical reasons for change? This is the question. We had two questions from the audience in the same direction. So I will pass to someone that would like to address this specific question. Anyone?
Yeah, sure. I can take a shot at it. I mean, I have a view on this, and it's not really influenced by the current crisis or anything like that. I don't think this is changing. I do think that it's really a function of each company's strategy. So, for example, a company whose focus is on plain vanilla generics, the approach would be wider. If you want to get a simvastatin to the market, it's going to be the same across all of the European territories. On the other hand, if you want to explore an opportunity for a differentiated product, you want to take an existing drug and may have an orphan indication attached to that. That is going to be an item where you'll have to do a very local approach and make sure that what you're bringing to the market, where you're going to be spending a truckload of money, is going to actually be worth it. And in those cases, you need to really look into, where is the money, and that needs a local approach. You can't, because when you're global, you lose some amount of the detail. So you need to get into the detail, and that needs a local approach. So I think that it's really a function of where the company is and what is the approach of the company.
Great, thank you very much, Naveen. I think that we are getting close to the end of the session. I think that we just have time for a final round for each of you to give us a view of the future. What excites you most? What your vision for the future, for new areas? Another interesting point to add, if your company or yourself is preparing yourself for further situations like that, business transformations or other impacts. We all know that it was unpredictable, but you are considering to modify something to be prepared for further situations like this. So it's more like to look at the future in your final considerations to finalize your specific speech. So we will round through all the panelists. We can start with the ladies. So Anna, please, your turn. Your final considerations, considering also this future vision, please.
Okay, thank you, Saverio. I think it is difficult to be prepared for the uncertainty. So I think we should be flexible. So I think we should develop soft skills as being flexible, bringing flexibility within the companies, communication skills between the departments, between managers and boards. So I think this will this will be easier for us in the future to face any kind of pandemic or whatever that it may come. So dealing with uncertainty, of course, having more flexibility and being more flexible to adapt. I think this is what we should do. So coming, what would be the strategy in terms of what is more exciting here? Well, coming back again on I think looking locally or looking globally, I think of course we also always need to look on a geography by geography basis and region by region basis. In these times, different countries were impacted in different ways. Some countries are a little behind the others. Dealt with the pandemic in different ways. So of course we need to adapt and to look at each region in different way and adapt our way of dealing with these markets. But I think we should be attentive to the markets that are really doing very well, even markets not so regulated, not so developed, that are enjoying a fast development, maybe a slowdown in this situation, but some African countries are really, will become really interesting. And I recall, for example, the case of Vietnam. If we haven't started 10 years ago our business in Vietnam, we wouldn't have be able to have a consistent business now. And I think we should look at these kind of examples on a geography basis. On product, of course, product it's our daily life. We should look at the products that we have on the client's needs. We should be attentive to what the stakeholders, namely the authorities, are doing, the trends, so we can adapt the product development and offer what is in fact interesting for the market. And in general, I think that's it.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you very much. Naveen needs to drop soon, so Naveen, please, your final considerations in this really great session. You're mute.
Yeah, I figured I was on mute. Yeah. So yeah, I think again, I just wanted to add one point, which is that in one thing that has not changed in all of this is really the focus on cost. We are all part. Many of us are part of the generics industry, and where cost is really important. And you'll see that there are some companies that operate with an R&D spend, as an example, just R&D spend of maybe 7-8% of turnover. Some are operating at more than that, while some are operating at 3 and 4% of turnover. And the bang for your buck, or how much you make out of every penny you spend, is probably even more important today when you're dealing with uncertainty than it was 10 years ago when the generics industry was doing super well and you had higher prices. But now you've got low prices, you've got uncertainty, you've got to add flexibility, like all of us have said, and all of this comes at a cost. And how are you going to do it at the best possible cost is what is really going to differentiate some of the companies that are working in a space where we are working with high volume generics. So I just think that we need to continue to focus on cost. And again, cost is not a matter of focusing on cost. It's again a matter of culture and ensuring that you have that within your organization.
Great, thank you very much, Naveen. Okay, maybe we can move to Theo. Theo, could your final considerations, please?
Yes, I believe in trust and in relationships, and this came out very clearly in the pandemic as well, that all the basis is trust and the relationships. And this is a daily responsibility of all of us. And what I noticed, the industry comes closer together. So it was not like addressed like this is company X, Y, whatever. It seems there is a more embracement of the industry itself to address various items, regardless of the subsegment of the different industry components. The Germans always tend to be the hardest critics of their own organization. So if you have Germans in the organization, they tend to mirror what's not good and what needs to be improved. But I can say that I'm fully proud and support the activities, what we're doing, especially on not aiming for super large acquisitions. The items, what we have, the challenges, addressing various questions, very specific questions. And what the company, MSD, was really good in the last years to do acquisitions, to do licensing deals, addressing specific needs. And you saw it in the latest COVID-19, where we entered the journey to arrive at a vaccine which is secure and effective. and that we are really a science-driven company to find the optimal solution on that one. I see the BD paradigm changing in terms of you have more BD deals happening at the earlier phase of the development. On the other hand, you see biotech and others being able to commercialize even more. So this separation of duties seems to mingle somehow, and I think everybody's keen on finding creative deals and partnerships, sustainable ones in the long run. And I think this would be my perspective. There's a lot of more activities to come, not only within pharma, but in the ecosystem as well. And I'm delighted to see that all of you are very good prepared for that. Thank you.
Thank you too. Frank, your final thoughts, please.
Yeah, I think that COVID-19, of course, is a pandemic crisis that has affected a lot of us. But I see positive effects in terms of, I see more openness in our company. Everybody is aware that we do have to do changes. These new problems need new solutions. So I think business development is getting more and more important. We will have to work on the culture. I think it has to be more cooperation within BD with other companies, with other companies also. We have to speed up the processes in BD with this new leadership. I think, as I said, maybe at the beginning, due to the crisis, we are now doing difficult questions. We are throwing aboard paradigms that had been in place over the last years, over the last 80 years. Probably this is more due to the history of each company, but it's now the moment to really reassess the way of working and to build upon on this openness to change, a new way of modeling. I think we will need definitely a different kind of leadership. At the end, I think these kinds of events that we are participating right now really will help to learn from each other. As Till said, I think the company is going, it's working together. And I think in terms of business development, maybe there is a demand. I think we have to find to hear from everybody and learn on each solutions. Apart from the different regional, from the geographies, I think there are a lot of things in common where we can learn each one.
Great. Thank you, Frank. Kamal, your final thoughts, please.
Yeah, thank you, Saverio. I think I just want to make three points. Perhaps some of this is already made, but in the case of repetition. So one is, I think, from a business development standpoint, I'm very optimistic. I firmly believe that there is a lot of tailwinds that we can spot, and there is a lot of tailwinds that is available in the market. And that the reasoning for that is also because the fundamental growth narrative for companies have not changed. Companies are still trying to build revenue and profitable growth avenues. To that extent, the mindset has not changed. What is and also to strengthen that further, what's happening is, I think there would be a little bit of a value reset, but that is not to be taken as saying that the assets will be available cheap. I think there has been certain impact, but I think there is enough headroom to grow for all of us. That's number one. Number two is, in terms of, I think, overall responding to the pandemic, like I said, there are lots of opportunities, and many of us as companies have adopted to the environment. And since it's going to be, it is a global scenario, I think everybody is coming to the party, and yeah, so that to me is a good news. It's not a unique situation for one country or one region. So there's a lot of empathy, there's a lot of trust and relationship, as we all mentioned. And the last thing is, the newer opportunities from a business development standpoint, again, I think we have a responsibility and a mandate to not ignore beyond diseases beyond COVID. I think many momentarily deals at this point in time are well in the road of COVID vaccines, COVID-related treatments, etc. But one thing that is very critical is the other diseases, whether it's chronic or acute diseases, are likely to exist. It's not going to go away. So I think as pharmaceutical companies, well, that's one thing even Cipla has taken up, is not to ignore whether it's respiratory, HIV, cancer, continuing the momentum of growth on all those diseases equally well is very, very critical. We can't ignore the fact that a company will suddenly shift its strategy to only COVID-related treatments or COVID-related approaches. I think that will be a very narrow approach. So those would be my 3 points. And yeah, in summary, I think it's a very positive outlook. The ways of doing business might have changed or might slightly be different today, not changed necessarily. But I think the mindset and the fundamentals have not shifted. That will be my remarks.
Great. Thank you very much. So with this, we can finalize this great session. Thank you for all the panelists of this session. It was really insightful, and hope our audience like it much as I like it, all this conversation. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you again.
Thank you.